Mike McCool here. I'm in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today is Burke Moeller. Burke is a video producer for the Farm Bureau, Virginia Farm Bureau, and I got a little press release in the email the other day. It says, Burke is going to be in Warren County filming farms. It would be great to talk to him. And I said, well, sure, why not? So yeah. I think it's interesting. I watched some of their videos, which we'll put the link in the story where you can go and see these things. And they're broadcast around some Virginia rural stations that have farm news, I guess. But the Farm Bureau, we have an office right here in Front Royal. They have a great insurance plan. So.
Yeah, they are in every county in Virginia.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and we kind of base our stories kind of are more like county-based, where
right.
like a normal, say, news organization might, reference the city that they're in. And since we go to rural places anyway, it just makes more sense to be countywide.
Well, I see in April they're going to feature Warren County.
Yep.
So that's why he's here. So what have you been doing, and what kind of things are you looking for? How do you select these farms you're going to?
Well, usually my first step is to call the county farm bureau president.
Right.
And so that's what I did, called Rick Matthews. And he said that he was going to be out at the cattle auction. And so I met him there on Tuesday of this week. And he was super busy because it was an auction day.
Sure.
But he let me go and film some of the proceeds and got some great footage inside of it. And then went and I spoke with Jeff White, who is with the Glen Manor Vineyard, and went out to his property and spoke about him, his background. Like a lot of folks out here, he had worked in the D.C. area and migrated out here, and is starting like his second career, so to speak.
They started gentleman farmers,
Right.
And they find out it's work.
Right. Well, he his grandfather owned that property, so it's been in the family for a while, but he just as recently, so to speak, coming up on it. Sure. And then spoke with Corey Childs, who is the county extension agent, yesterday. And he took me out to Oxbow Farm, and that was a lot of fun. Got some great footage out there. That's a real pretty farm, and learned a little bit about the family who owns the place, and their connection with the Anheuser-Busch family and everything. And they have some Clydesdales. That were there, that were, I guess, at one point used in the commercials, but now, some other horses have come along. Sure. They gave me a little ride in a carriage yesterday.
Aren't they?
Yeah, they are. So it was fun. Yeah.
That's right. It's really interesting how many farms, people live in the town, even the small little town like Front Royal, they kind of get acclimated to the town life. They don't realize that even though we're a very small county, it's farmland. Once you get outside the town limits, that's farm. There's a lot of farms. And I know Robert Hupman's got a turkey farm. Have you ever been there?
No, I haven't been there.
It's an interesting thing that he does. Just little things you don't realize what goes on right in our own backyard.
Yeah.
And your program points these out in a lot of places that farm is an integral part of our world. We don't realize it. We just go down to Martin's or Walmart and buy the groceries and the produce and things that we do, and not realizing that it's got to come from somewhere, and someone's got to grow that and process it.
Absolutely. And what we're seeing, this is, I guess, Warren County can now kind of be considered an exurb of the D.C. area.
Yes, yeah.
And
reluctantly.
So that's putting a lot of pressure on land values.
Sure.
And so a lot of the farmers that I've talked to, they're hoping that, the next generation will come along and want to keep the business going. But, they also realize that with the increased pressure, it's not just the people who want to commute all the way to D.C., but now there's enough businesses that are out in Manassas and Bristow and places like that this is an easy commute if you have a job out there.
Exactly.
So it's just putting a lot of pressure. But I find that, in a lot of the counties around the state.
Sure. We have about 40% of our workforce, they say, commutes into the Northern Virginia area. That's a lot of people every day in and out of the road. So You do it for a while, and they do it for the money, and then they do it for a while longer, and then they get tired of it.
Yeah, yeah. I was one of them. I live in Fredericksburg, and I was working in the D.C. area in journalism up there and doing that I-95 commute.
Oh,
so,
and that's
it's
rough,
nasty.
That's a rough road. That's a rough road.
It is.
So,
It is.
you still have hair, so.
Yeah. Luckily, I got out before I became a total zombie.
Yeah. Well, some of us, been here a while. But it's a lot of fun, and it's like say your programs that you're doing is doing a lot of good for these farmers, bringing awareness to their plights and things that happen. I think it's very educational.
I think what the main idea behind the program is to sort of reach the the suburban and exurban family who may not be connected to agriculture, as directly as maybe in the past. But there's still people who care about the food that they put on the table.
Sure.
And they want to know where it comes from and how it's grown and how it's raised. And so we seek to try to help with that.
Well, I like the title of your show. Tell us what it is.
Real Virginia.
Real Virginia.
Yes.
That's
I know. When I first started, I was like, oh, goodness, we're going to really thumb our nose at all the Northern Virginia folks. But we do kind of view, the rest of Virginia as being sort of the real Virginia that how it was, and
right.
I lived in Northern Virginia for quite a bit of time, and there's lots of great stuff up there, but
right.
It's a different place. It is different.
It doesn't have quite the charm as a rural Virginia does it?
Right. There's things there that you can't get anywhere else in the state, but there's things outside of the state that you really can
we call that
treasure.
Things that you treasure and things that are important in the country.
Yeah, being able to see stars at night is nice too.
that's an interesting thing. That's a whole other subject. But there's places that have just outlawed the lights. I think there's a whole area in a couple 100,000 acres in West Virginia that no lights, no cell phones, no nothing. They have this clean area so that the astronomers can see the stars, and it's just amazing. What it is. It's amazing. There's all sorts of these little cool things around our state, and I've been watching different programs sometimes. They have the covered bridge programs, and they've got the farms. And what's some of the unique things that really floored you when you went out and did these things? What something you want to share?
Well, there's just there's parts of the state that I may never have had a reason to go see before, and just going to see some of the woods and the mountains in Botetourt County were just really stunning. I went there in the fall, so the leaves turned and everything, so it was real pretty there. But a lot of it can just be you expect you're just going to be interviewing cattle ranchers and row crop producers, and then all of a sudden you do a ride on the Clydesdales,
right? Or
just things that just pop up that make it interesting every time you go out there. It's in that way it's like journalism in that you never know exactly what you're going to expect, and every day is kind of new, and it's fresh. And that keeps me going at it.
It's a lot different than in the city where it's who got shot, what burnt down.
Yeah, right.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Exactly.
One of those type of stories. That's all we do. Isn't it amazing though how high tech some of these farms are? I mean, have you seen that?
Absolutely.
I know someone that does a lot of. They're building these poultry buildings, and how much computerization is done inside of there, and the electronics that are inside these buildings. You just wouldn't realize how high tech farming has really got.
Yeah, before this, I talked to I did a story on all the power outages in Central and Southside Virginia, and the farmers that were dealing with that, and how it especially can affect poultry producers because so much of their equipment is automated. And some of the farmers there were showing me how they have their systems where if the system detects that it's not running after 3 seconds, the automatic generator kicks in.
Right.
So they don't waste any time with that. And they're showing me some of the backup generator plans and the circuits and everything like that. It's very high tech.
Well, it's like all of us in business. We're doing more with less. And I mentioned Hupman's poultry or his turkey farm, and I think he does all that almost. He has some part-time help, but I think he had told me 75,000 turkeys, and he does it by himself.
Wow.
I mean, most of it. I mean,
You
not
do
all
that.
by himself.
Yeah.
But, you know, what I mean, but you know, it's a lot of automation and it's cycles, and you know, you're up every. You know, it's like milking the cows. You can't. There's no holiday on a dairy
Right.
farm.
Oh
is there?
gosh, yeah, dairy. That's hard work.
It is
I really admire those people. They put in a lot of
again,
hours.
Our whole food chain. It's really amazing how you know we can go to the store and buy just about anything year round. Somewhere in the world, it's being grown and produced and
Yep.
manufactured, and it's just amazing.
And the transportation can get it here quick enough
Right.
while it's
Everything
still.
but toilet paper. I mean, that seemed
Yeah.
that seemed to be a little issue.
And
this
for a
last
while,
year.
yeah, hand sanitizer there. Well, that's one story we did last year when COVID broke out. Is that a lot of the wineries
Sure.
had turned over to producing hand sanitizer
Mm-hmm.
in the early days of COVID when everything was on lockdown and the first responders couldn't get enough.
Exactly.
So that was a way.
Yeah, yeah.
I know I interviewed a couple of guys who operate the vineyards, and they're like, the last thing I ever thought I would be doing is
Brewing hand
making hand sanitizer. But here we are,
I know.
and
Oh, that's
they're happy to do it.
Yeah, that's the boy, I'm having trouble with words today. Anyway, we're great. The entrepreneur spirit in our farmers and our small businesses.
Yep.
That's what moves America. That's what moves Virginia.
Yeah, and farming is, every farm is a small business. The bigger they get, they can be kind of considered bigger business.
Sure.
But, most farmers are, they're in business for themselves.
You know, I don't think in Virginia you see the corporate farms like you do out in Kansas and Nebraska, where they just have millions of acres.
Right.
But it's mostly small businesses. They have some large ones, but it's mom and pop putting stuff in the ground and doing it.
Yep.
It's a lot of work. Well, I really appreciate you sharing the stories of our farmers in our state, and we'll put all the information in the story where people can take a look at some of your videos and tune in to Real Virginia.
Awesome. Thanks,
really
Mike. I appreciate
it. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me
Appreciate
in.
it. Uh-huh.
All right.